Well, good morning. Welcome to Debbie's Back Porch. So glad to have you with us. You know, my grandson Eli has been home on leave from the army. And when he's home, I like to try to fix him some special dishes that he likes. But I also use him as a guinea pig for dishes I want to try. And this is one of those. This is red-eye sausage and cheese grits. Not a totally new recipe. It's an adaptation of Low Country shrimp and grits. But oh lordy, have you priced shrimp lately? And you know what? I kind of like this better. Before we make this, if you will, give us a thumbs up if you like our videos. And subscribe. Click the little bell in the top right and you'll get notices when I post new videos. Let's get cooking. So we'll start with the ingredients as usual, and I will list them in the info section below. I'm starting out with some smoked sausage. This is just Hillshire Farms smoked sausage from the grocery store. If you have a favorite kind of brat or smoked sausage, I think any of those would do just well here. Then I'm going to have some cheese for my grits, and I've got some cheddar and I have some asiago. I just really love the flavor of asiago. Then I have an onion, and I'll be honest with you, if I'd had some green onions, I would have used those just for the color. Then I have some little mini peppers. I have here minced garlic and grits. This is not my usual brand of grits. I usually use Jim Dandy, but these are fine. These are quick grits. You can use long cook grits, just not instant grits. So we're going to quickly cut up the vegetables. There's not a lot of vegetables to cut up. I'm going to do a quick cut on the onion, and I usually do a French cut on these. I did this a little sloppy, but a French cut is where you cut it in half, and then you cut from the outside toward the center at an angle. When you get it to this point, you start over, you flip it, and start over. And that's the quick cut that I use, a French cut. You use this for French onion soup. Now peppers, you could use any kind of pepper you want. You can use hot if you want, but I'm using sweet peppers, these little minis. And I wash them, and the easy way to get the seeds out is to just go ahead and slice them. And the seeds will all be up at the top slice, and you can just sort of wash them out. I'm doing that over at the sink. And I'll get 3 or 4 out of each one. If I'm using a regular size pepper, I just slice it into strips. With these, I wanted the rings, so I got these pretty little peppers. Again, slice them before you clean the seeds out. It's just easier. I'm going to have about a cup of these little peppers. So 1 medium onion and about a cup of pepper, either sliced in strips or in rings. So I've cut off 8 ounces of the sausage, and I'm going to cut it into smaller pieces. If you want to use the whole package of sausage, if that's what your family would eat, there's enough of the other ingredients to accommodate up to 1 pound of the sausage. An ingredient I didn't show you is that we will add a cup of coffee to this, hence red-eye sausage. And if you use the whole pound of meat, you might use just a little more coffee. In case you're not familiar with the term red-eye, it's a gravy made by adding coffee to the grease from the meat you have cooked. Because this smoked sausage won't release a lot of fat as it cooks, I'm going to put some fat in the pan to start with. And I added 2 tablespoons full of butter, melted it slowly. I'm going to add my pieces of smoked sausage here, and I'm going to keep my heat on medium-low because I don't want to scorch the butter. I'm only going to cook these sausages long enough to get just a little browning on both sides. Now you don't have to use smoked sausage in this dish. You could use brats, you could use regular sausage links, you could use bulk sausage. Whichever sausage you prefer, You don't have to cook it done at this step, about half done. You just want to get the browning, the flavor of the browning in the dish. So once you have a little browning on this, we're going to add our vegetables. So our onions and our peppers, we'll just put those in there. I've still got my heat on low. We're going to let those simmer together a little bit. I'm going to add just a light sprinkling of salt to this to help the vegetables wilt. Smoked sausage is kind of salty. You may add more salt depending on the type of sausage you're using. And I'll let these simmer together just until the onions start to turn translucent and the peppers have started to wilt a little. I'm adding a half teaspoonful of the minced garlic. If you're using fresh garlic, that would be about 2 cloves. Garlic powder, about a half a teaspoonful. I'll put the lid on. I'm going to let this simmer on this low heat for about 10 minutes while I get the grits started. So following the directions on the box, I have 4 cups of water. I added 2 tablespoons of butter, which is not on the box, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Then I'm going to come back to these vegetables and sausage and give them a good stir. And they're smelling pretty awesome right now. You know, if you had peppers, onions, and garlic and you served them on cardboard, it would taste pretty good. But we've got some really good smoked sausage here, and this smells yummy. And now we add the ingredient that makes it red-eye gravy, or red-eye sausage, or low country shrimp and grits if that's what you're making. That's an 8-ounce cup of coffee, and I urge you to use the very best coffee you have. The lid goes back on. We're still on low heat, and my water is boiling for the grits, so that's the next step. Couple things about grits. Whatever your package says, that's what you want to do, because depending on the type of grits you have, it may be different. Something you can change, though, is that you can replace part or all of the water with milk or cream, and that will make a creamier texture in your grits. I'm adding cheese, and you saw that I added butter, and that's also going to make a creamier texture. But if you're not adding cheese, you may want to substitute half a cup of cream for half a cup of water. I stirred in 1 cup of grits, let it come back to a boil, covered and turned the heat down. These should simmer, a low simmer, for 7 minutes. And somewhere within that 7 minutes, you need to take the lid off and give them a good stir. To prevent lumps, I probably should have stirred this a little earlier. It looks like I've got a couple lumps starting, but I'll just stir those out. Get my whisk in there and get a little vigorous with it and make sure I get the lumps out. So about a minute before they're done, according to your package directions, we're going to add the cheese. And I've got 2 slices of cheddar here and about 1.5 slices of asiago. If I were grating fresh cheese, which I probably should be, but I had these slices, so I'm going to use them, I would have grated about 1/2 cup of cheese to add to this mixture. Unless I was feeling really cheesy, you could put up to 1 cup in here if you want yours that cheesy. But 1/2 cup's going to do me today. So I'm going to stir that in well until it's pretty melty. Then I'm going to cover it, let it finish its cooking time. We've got about another minute to cook here. Then I'll just move it to the back of the stove, let it sit covered while I complete the rest of the meal. So our sausage and vegetable mixture has been over here simmering on a low simmer for about 10 minutes while I made the grits. You can see I have another skillet out, I'm going to serve this like a breakfast with a couple eggs and a couple biscuits. But you could also serve it with a salad or another vegetable side if you like. This is a main dish and works well for breakfast or dinner. I'm going to get my eggs cooked, plate this up, and then we'll have our dinner. Because I'm serving this with eggs, I'm going to put it in a little bowl, and I'll let you see the creaminess of the grits. If you were serving this as your main dish, you just put the grits right on the plate and then spoon the mixture over it. So I'm putting them both in my bowl. Be sure you get plenty of the gravy. So I have my egg and I have my biscuit, but this is the star of the show. Now somebody's going to tell me this looks good, but they don't like coffee. And I'm just going to tell you, before you decide you don't want this dish because it has coffee in it, give it a try, because the flavors of the peppers and onions and sausage mellows out that coffee. And to me, the coffee really complements the sausage flavor. Of course, I grew up on red-eye gravy, and to me, it's a comfort food. If it's not a food you're familiar with, this is a good way to try it. I really hope you try this recipe, and I really hope you love it. And I hope to see you again tomorrow on Debbie's Back Porch.